Nowadays most men are obsessed with getting and sleeping with lots of women. Most men today will sacrifice almost anything just to get laid, or even just to get a kiss or a one-night stand. A lot of men now spend the vast majority of their time endlessly swiping on dating apps in the hopes of getting a few matches. Some men who are more courageous go out almost every night of the week approaching several women in the hopes of getting phone numbers. These men seem to forget that the vast majority of the matches on dating apps don't respond, and that the vast majority of those that respond have no interest in meeting up, and the vast majority of those that actually meet up aren't interested in having sex, but just want to get a free meal. They also forget that approaching women hardly guarantees getting their phone numbers, and that most women only give out their numbers as a way of avoiding confrontation, knowing fully well that they can just easily avoid his texts or calls without having to face the possibility of him flying into a rage if they had said no to his face. It is also a statistical fact that most women who give out their numbers flake on dates, and most women who go on dates aren't interested in having sex. Some are just bored of being home alone, and need someone who would entertain them. Despite the overwhelming frustration that stems from having to swipe through dating apps day in and day out, and having to cold approach several women with no tangible results, most men still adamantly stick to these methods in the hopes that things would change. Precious time that would have been invested in doing something more productive like building a business or learning a new skill is used for swiping and cold approaching, the end result being depression, frustration, and blue balls. But what if there is a better way to go about getting women? What if there is a way that has always existed since the beginning of time, a method that was practiced by some of the most successful men of all ages and is contained in almost all ancient writings and religious texts? What if this method exists, but has been neglected for a long time? The good news is that the Bible gives men the best formula on how to get women, and this is actually one of the first lessons that the Bible teaches. However, because of the hard-heartedness of men, and because of ignorance, men have gone in search of more difficult methods and techniques, in the hopes of getting quick results. They have resorted to learning magic tricks and canned lines, hoping that these things would have an effect on women. They have become lazy and want the easy way out. Men today don't want to put in any effort in order to see results. They want everything to be given to them on a platter of gold. They have gone in search of teachers and gurus in the form of dating coaches and relationship experts on the internet and on YouTube, most of whom are just charlatans peddling lies and fallacies with the aim of scamming their audiences for a quick buck. These charlatan coaches take the simplest things and make them very complicated in a way that seem appealing and with the aim of holding their audience in thrall. That's why the Bible states in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 29 that God made man plain and simple, but man made himself very complicated. In order to uncomplicate things we must go back in time to the beginning, to a time before any one of us was born. We must go back to the first man, Adam, to see what he did, and how he was successful in attracting Eve. In the book of Genesis chapter 2 we are told that after creating the Garden of Eden and everything in it, God placed the man in the garden to cultivate it. This was the first duty of man upon the earth, to make sure that everything was functioning properly in the Garden of Eden. The implication of this is that before man ever met a woman, before man ever talked to a woman, before man ever kissed or had sex with a woman, man had a purpose. Man had a goal, a task, something that kept him occupied and fulfilled. It was in the process of chasing his purpose, and accomplishing his goals that the woman was brought to him. He never went in search of her, he never even thought about her or knew that she existed. Adam the first man was primarily focused on cultivating the Garden of Eden to the best of his abilities, and that was when the woman came to him. This is how God, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, intended for things to be from the beginning of time. As a man, this is the proper and natural way to attract quality women into your life, with minimum effort and stress. The model outlined in the book of Genesis should serve as a model for all young men today. If you are focused on your purpose and your mission in life, and if you are seeking to optimize your life to the best of your abilities, that is when women will be most attracted to you. You won't have to spend endless hours swiping on dating apps just to get 0 matches. You won't have to go out every day of the week cold approaching women in malls, on the streets, or in clubs and bars, only to get flaked on at the last minute. Women would naturally chase you when they notice that you are on your purpose. They would naturally gravitate towards you when they sense that they are not a priority on your mind and in your life, and then the power would be in your hands, as all you would have to do would be to choose the women that best appeal to you. It is also important to note that after man was created it took a while before the woman was created. We are not told how long it took for the woman to be created after the man was created, but for all we know it could have been a few months, a few years, or several years. My point is that man was already alone before he met the woman. He was enjoying his own company and didn't really have a desire for someone else as long as he had his purpose. This is really important to keep in mind because it exposes one of the main reasons why most men today feel so lonely, bored and empty. The reason is because most men don't have a strong sense of purpose. They don't have something that keeps them going and fills the deep void in their hearts. Sensing this deep void, most men go on the chase for women, wrongly assuming that women would fill the void, only for them to end up feeling depressed and lonelier. Also, learning to be alone is an important quality that most men need to learn. Most men find it difficult to be on their own and think they always need companionship in order to be fully satisfied. But as we see in the book of Genesis, Adam was on his own for some time before he ever met Eve. He never complained about it, he was never depressed about it, and so we can say that was one of the qualities that attracted Eve to him. She probably sensed his non-needy state, and was drawn to it. She sensed that Adam did not necessarily need her and that he was fulfilled and satisfied on his own. In a sense we could say that Adam was a challenge, and Eve found that to be very attractive. We can also see that whilst the first thing that Adam saw was the Garden of Eden and his purpose, the first thing that Eve saw was Adam. This is really important as it explains why most women find it very hard to be alone. Most women have to be in a relationship or have some form of male attention in order to be fulfilled. This is why most women don't find fulfillment in their jobs or careers, but find it in cultivating relationships, while men find the most fulfillment in their jobs and careers. This is how it was designed from the beginning. There are studies that show that male infants are more interested in toys and gadgets than female infants, and female infants are more interested in people and faces than male infants. The reason for this is that at its most basic level, the masculine energy is more geared towards achieving goals and breaking through barriers, while the feminine energy is more directed towards building and cultivating relationships. The masculine energy is more about drive, ambition, and achieving goals, while the feminine energy is about nurturing, connecting and bonding. When a man neglects his natural inclination, and makes his primary objective chasing and connecting with women, he loses his core essence and becomes unattractive to women. Understanding this difference in masculine and feminine energies is going to make you more successful in attracting women. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think about the topic, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.